But you get up some days and the weather's great. You get to a Friday night, the anticipation, expectation builds, and then there are two teams that are going to go out there and they're just going to make all your dreams come true. I've got John Dean with me. This will be a game for the ages, John. I'll let you talk us about where we got and how we got here, but these two teams just offer so much. This is Men's Premier League here in Darwin.
Yeah, absolutely, Bruce. So we've got first versus second. Mindle Aces on top of the table.
Yep.
Hellenic in second. If they win tonight, they can go first on their own with a game in hand Tuesday week against Hearts. But we've got both teams unbeaten in their last 5.
Yep.
You have to go back 6 weeks to Mindle's last defeat, a heavy defeat to Hellenic, 4-0. They'll be looking to atone for that.
A bit of smarting still.
Absolutely. And for Hellenic, their last defeat, as fate would have it, was against Mindle. And you have to go right back to the first game since COVID for that to happen. So they've only lost once all season, and it was to their foes tonight. So storylines everywhere, but first, second's all you need to say. It's going to be on, Bruce.
Absolutely. Now, you know where we're at the moment with these catch-up games. It's about managing fatigue. It's about managing a long season. This is round 12. We've had catch-up games during the week. How are you seeing fatigue? How are you seeing those 5 minutes before half-time and after half-time? Where do you see some of the danger areas for both sides in the time of a 90-minute match?
Oh, it's going to be the first 5 or 10 minutes.
Yep.
Mindle are going to come out with that high intensity again.
Cool. Yep.
There's a couple of personnel changes. So they've had one of their substitutes, Nick Concionis, who's just walking past our commentary position. He's gone down in warm-up. So they've had to pull Levi Winman from reserves. And then also Will Reeves out. So he had a slight hamstring strain in the game that we picked up the other night.
Yep.
But he's also broken a bone in his hand at training. So they've got another young player coming in and there's competition for spots. But they'll come out quickly. They'll look to get a goal early and settle their nerves. Hellenic will try and absorb that first 10 minutes and then try and go at them. And that's where it's going to be really dangerous for Mindle. We saw them go up and down the gears the other night when we spoke about that, Bruce. If Mindle can handle that attack that Hellenic respond with, then they'll be right in this game. But I expect there to be goals at both ends and the intensity to be high. And then will that tell on Mindle in the second half? They're the fittest team in the league, but they've had that extra game this week, so time will tell.
Right, all looking forward to the next 90 minutes plus. This will be really exciting. John Dean, look forward to hearing your comments. Tio in Melbourne, hello Tio. Hope everything's fine down there with the family and yourself, mate. We wish you all the best. We'll hear your dulcet tones shortly. We're going to bring you Mindle versus Hellenic, Men's Premier League in Darwin. Wait on for it.
Good evening and welcome to live Football Northern Territory Men's Premier Division. The top pair square off. Mindle Aces, top of the ladder going into tonight's match against Hellenic at the Darwin Football Stadium. My name is Teo Pellizzeri, soon to be joined by John Dean. Big thanks to Bruce Stalder with the pre-game show. And, well, it has whet the appetite for a contest between two sides with designs both on the minor premiership and top spot on the ladder, and also the big trophy winning the grand final at the end of the season. The question is, can Hellenic put a big down payment on that title tonight? They start in second, but they have a game in hand on Mindil. Win tonight, they will go top by a point, and still with a game to spare. Mindil, 29 points and plus 15 goal difference coming in. Hellenic, 27 points and a muscular plus 24 goal difference. Mindil actually did a bit of work on their goal difference during the week. They threw the Casuarina Hoodoo off their shoulders and they won 4-0. However, that game on Tuesday means that tonight is the third game in 6 days for Mindil, and it has been reflected in a number of changes through the week to their team sheet. So, Hellenic kicking this game off. Kane McAdam in goal. Number 2, Kenneth Nahn. 3, Joseph Niembo. 4, Dexter Newman. 6, James Rushton Woods. 7, Matt McNabb. 8, Alex Turner. 10, Sulav Maskey. 17, Simon Bell, the man about to kick off here. And 23, Warren Barry, along with number 16, Joel Powell. For those of you not familiar with Football Northern Territory's Men's Premier Division, they are in the blue and white stripes, and Mindil in their away black kit with yellow trimming. And we're waiting on referee Ryan Prescott's whistle to get us underway. And we have kickoff in the first game of round 12. The Mindil team, Arlo Race is their goalkeeper, 2, Marcus Lee, 4, Taiki Kudo, 5, Zach Kirby, 6, Mario Kwakanen, 7, Charles Eriku, 8, Matthew Mifsud, 9, Christopher Reinberg, the late inclusion after an injury in the warm-up. 10 is Kane McDowell, the captain. We'll stay with play here as Sulav Maskey escapes down the wing, and there's a goal in the opening seconds. Simon Bell, 1 touch, 1 goal. What a blazing start from Hellenic. Great assist from Sulav Maskey. And the clock had barely started ticking when the ball hit the back of the net. Ideal for John Francis's men. And as I welcome John Dean to the commentary position, I do so with a 1-0 lead for Hellenic.
Yes, lightning, Teo. Sulav Maskey just burnt Marcus Lee on the sideline there, used all of his experience against the young man and got the ball over the top, 1 touch into Bell, who finished with a plumb at the near post. When am here, Teo? What a start to the night.
Well, it was a finish that left Arlo Race without a hope. Close range, lashed it in, and Sulav Maskey put the assist in for him, and now he's trying to cause trouble again, almost winning the ball in the penalty area. And Daniel McCormick will be trying to get his team's head into the game here. They barely touched the ball before conceding. Now, as they try to counter down the right side, Charles Eriku, one of the players who scored during the week, can't get onto the ball here, and Kane McAdam clears. Just completing the team sheet. Didn't even get time to finish the team sheet before there was a goal. Tavian Ludvigsen is wearing number 14 for Mindil, and Johnny Pencho number 15. No point asking you for a prediction now that your pick will be somewhat biased by the opening goal, John, but what are your general thoughts on how this game is going to pan out?
Look, as I just said in the pre-game, I expected Mindil to come out really hard early. Obviously, that's gone out the window with a Hellenic goal, but I still think that they'll try to force the pace of the game here, and it'll be up to Hellenic to hold that for the first 10-15 minutes and then try and come back with an aggression of their own. They're certainly up for this. Hellenic have been the form team of the competition over the last 6 weeks, but they know they need to improve to beat Mindil, and they're very, very on for this, as you just saw.
As we wait for another long ball here, that will be Arlo Race's first touch. What about midweek? So much for the Casuarina Hoodoo. Mindil went out and beat them 4-0, and we actually spoke at length last Saturday about the pile-up of games and the cumulative effect of playing the midweek matches one after another. Certainly, Casuarina, I'm sure they wouldn't solely blame that for the lopsided scoreline, but it must have been a factor.
Oh, 100%. You know, all teams are tested at this time of year in terms of injuries and depth. And Casuarina, as I said last time we spoke, probably have the most difficult in terms of in a row. Then round 19 and then round 20 back to back. But you know, they went at the races as short as they were on personnel. So I think that Darwin, Casuarina, will be trying to take that out on them tomorrow afternoon.
As we see the offside flag go up here against Matt McNabb. He's been used as a super sub at times for Hellenic, but he gets the start tonight. And as far as the strength of this Hellenic team, tell me about their goalkeeper, Kane McAdam. I've done 4 or 5 of their games this year, Hellenic, but I haven't broadcast one where he was between the sticks. So what do I need to know, John? I hope I'm not putting you on the spot asking you about him.
No, not at all, Teo. He's a very classy keeper, Kane McAdam. This is his 3rd game in goals, if I'm not mistaken, for Hellenic now. Previously at Olympic, was a very late season transfer across, not playing for them, but has represented the NT and Indigenous sides at higher levels. I've had the opportunity to work with him as part of the Northern Knights program. He's a very accomplished keeper and got a great release. He and Dion Newell probably the quality releases in the league, so expect him to be very assured between the sticks tonight.
And I will put you on the spot in a moment. I'm going to ask you how many games Dion Newell is going to be sitting on the sidelines, if that's been determined by Football NT yet. Has he got word back? Is it just the one game, or how many weeks is he going to be benched, the Casuarina keeper, for his red card last weekend?
From Bruce Thornton, the CEO, how many games that Dion Newell was suspended for? 3. I'm holding 3 fingers pointed up at me, so 3 weeks he's got.
Yep, so Casuarina, they take on Port Darwin tomorrow. Could be a potential banana skin, regardless of if Newell was in goal or not. And then, of course, Hearts versus Atsuri is the other game, the Saturday night match. But our focus is on top of the league right here at the moment as Rushton Woods plays it through the centre of the park. And then Maskey, too clever by half, tried to do a step over, instead knocked it into the path of a Mindle opponent, who he then goes and floors to the ground. What about the battle of the coaches? Tell me a bit about the dynamic between Daniel McCormick and John Francis. Is there a strong contrast in styles, given that we know how Hellenic love to possess the ball and try to just own possession and starve the other team?
Yeah, absolutely. And Daniel McCormick.
Free kick, sorry, John, from Mifsud, right into the pack of players and headed away. And now the follow-up header isn't going to create any trouble due to a big blue wall of players. However, it was almost won back by the Mindle man, Zach Kirby. And now Hellenic are trying to counter-attack. McNabb has a real turn of speed. Can he sustain it for a full half the field? He can't. Wheels onto his right side and swings it over to Maskey. Touches it out of the sky. There is the little Rabona he was trying to pull off before. He wouldn't be denied. And then Bell runs into a spot of bother. The game is moving quickly. I haven't forgotten the question I asked you, John. I hate to be rude, but the ball just won't stop moving at the moment. So we stay with Johnny Pencho. And now Charles Eriku against the sidelines. Mindle trying to rush and find an equaliser as quickly as they can. And now it's going to be a Hellenic throw. And I'll come back to that question about the contrast between the two types and styles of the coaches.
Yeah, it's a much more direct style from Daniel McCormack's men. But this is only the 2nd game that he's had Kua Coonan and Kane McDowell starting in his midfield. So I expect them to try and hold a little bit more possession, but generally speaking, it's a much more direct style. They try and run the other team around because they back their fitness to run over the top of teams as well as their skill. So it's a contrast of it. It meets very well, as you've seen with the scoreline so far. There's always goals, and I expect tonight there will be goals at both ends of the pitch.
There is one of the aforementioned players from John a moment ago, Kane McDowell. It's quick to pick the ball up. You can see there's an intent to Mindle's play to try and keep the tempo high, and Hellenic are trying to cool things down. It's not even the 10-minute mark yet, and if you have tuned in late, well, you missed a goal more or less from kickoff. A couple of passes out to the right side, a dash from Sulav Maskey, and his cross met first time by the right foot of Simon Bell, and it was goal in the back of the net before 20 seconds were even on the clock. And that is how the score stands at present, as McAdam clears over to the right flank. And Mifsud will watch it roll out in front of Daniel McCormick, the Mindle coach. And James Rushton Woods is asked to go back 2 metres, now 3 metres. Eventually, referee Ryan Prescott is happy. And on the right side, Bell, the goal scorer. He'd love to be in the middle receiving across. Instead, he's going to try and turn provider. No one home, though. McNabb chases it through the penalty area, wheeling back onto his right side, but he was closed down straight away, and it will be a throw. And Hellenic look to build. As we see Bit of conjecture pre-game as to who was wearing which shirt number as well in the Hellenic team. They put through a second team sheet right at the last. So we have a long throw coming in here. Dexter Newman sending in a left-footed cross, but that one is too close to the keeper, and with a little second grab, it is held on to by Arlo Race. Out to right back. And Mindle, can they up the tempo here, or, well, Hellenic are blocking their path. Kenneth Narn, interception, plays it square to Warren Barry. Now back to Narn, slicing the ball into midfield, asking too much of his teammate on that occasion, though. Headed by McDowell. And then Rushton Woods. He ran out of real estate and he couldn't keep the ball as well. John, what about weather and conditions in Darwin on this August evening?
So it's about 2 degrees at the moment, Theo. So not too much different to what we've games, but the humidity is starting to creep back in a little bit. Dry season weather here, but it's a bit more humid. So you'll see the guys that haven't played so many games start to run out of a bit of legs at the back end of the first half, no doubt.
Corner kick coming up. Kind deflection for Hellenic. Put the ball down at their attacking end. Again, taking plenty of time to walk their players into the penalty box. Still have Maskey jogging over. No ball kids, of course, at this point of competition. Do they bring ball kids in for the finals or the grand final, John, or is it still DIY all the way through to the very last?
I believe as part of our COVID safety plan, there won't be ball kids. Normally there would be kids for a lot of these games. We'd have the mascots walking out with the players and all that sort of business, but we're still not able to use the change rooms here, nor do we have ball kids.
Here's the corner from Maskey. In swing it to the near post. Race batted it down. Needed help from his teammates. And indeed it came by McDowell wheeling it away. Second time ball. Oh, an unmarked header as well. Perhaps asking a bit of Joel Powell. And it slides across the face and out. But a decent half chance there for Hellenic to double their lead.
Oh, 100%. Joel Powell rose well, and he's been a real target for them off our set pieces ahead, and he's lucky to finish that. If he won it back, I'm sure he was disappointed he didn't hit the target.
Now, we mentioned the midweek games. Hellenic, they don't have their midweek until the 25th of August against Darwin Hearts. This midweek on the 18th, it's going to be Uni Atsuri against Port Darwin. As we see McDowell's pass intercepted here. Oh, and Powell had the header a moment ago. Now he's got to turn his attention to the primary focus of his inclusion in the team, which is defence. And he's able to clean up and clear. So Mindil with the throw. Oh, and they've not been on the same wavelength a couple of times like that so far. Hellenic throwing it right back. Wanted to ask you about their best available 11, John, factoring in, of course, midweek games and the heat as well. But we see Munya Raparanganda on the bench tonight. Is that reflective of the level of competition in the Hellenic team for wingers and attacking midfielders?
He's coming back from injury, so I don't think he's at 100%, which could be part of that. But we saw him start earlier games, and McNabb off the bench, and I think that change is just due to fitness more so than anything else. But certainly there's some really, really good players sitting on that bench for Hellenic tonight that will be looking to get in there and make a difference.
The rest of their bench: Ronald Flonin, Mark Martino, Espoir Mushigero and Stylianos Vrontos, as Ludvigsen wins a foul right in front of the Hellenic bench. And Mindle made a late change to put Tan U on the bench. Prit Bruce, Eamon Kelly, Levi Winman coming up from the reserves, as you heard from John Dean in pre-game, and Sean Henderson. Free kick for Mifsud. Always very good with his left foot at these set pieces. This one is almost clearing the pack. One header was enough to get the ball away. Maskey won't be allowed to counter, though. Clever defending from Taiki Kudo, but the job is far from done as Niembo tries to go on a run. And then an underhit pass is intercepted by Lee. And Marcus Lee had to just twist his body at the last there so as to not completely give the ball away. I think he knew he was mishitting that pass as soon as he loaded it up. The ball's going to come back. It'll be a free kick for Mindle. Ball is there to be won in the air, but no contest in the end. It was knotted on by Turner. Has to go again, this time under a bit more pressure from Kane McDowell. McDowell sliding in, up into the face, but all's well that ends well for Hellenic. Now they'll try to run. Barry stopped in his tracks by a solid slide tackle. Coming in from Johnny Penshaw on that occasion. He scored midweek as well. Mindle's leading scorers, Ludvigsen with 11 this season. Charles Eriku scored midweek to move to 7. And then there's a bit of a drop-off. Prit Proust, who's on the bench, has 3. Johnny Penshaw is now up to 2 for the season, but does fall away after those top pair. Hellenic's got a far wider spread of scorers this season, but they also boast Simon Bell, who's now outright top of the goal scorers with 13. He might get his 14th here. It's saved, but it wouldn't have counted as the whistle had already gone. The ball will be left at the centre of defence. But yes, Bell up to 13. Maskey on 6. Barry 4. Turner 3. Niembo has 2 for Hellenic, along with McNabb. So all their goal scorers are out there on the field tonight. Bell taking a 1-goal lead ahead of Mark Casemiro, 13-12, and they've sprung the defence, but offside. And well, it's almost like Archie Thompson's out there at the moment, John, because it seems to be offside every time Hellenic attack.
I'm sure Archie would love that too. Look, in terms of what you just spoke about with those goal scorers too, Alex Turner's been lethal. He scored 2 goals in consecutive weeks as a centre-half on corners from almost the same blade of grass. So look for him if they get a set piece from this right-hand side. And then, you know, in terms of the last free kick that Mindle had, and that one there too, Tavian Ludvigsen's really isolated up there by himself. Even if he wins that first ball, there's not really anybody to win that second ball. So they need to fix that if they're going to sort of get other goal scorers in here, because he can't do it all by himself against this Hellenic defence.
And this run of offsides, John, is it just poorly timed runs, or is it the Mindle defence knowing when to step up? I will stay with play because there's half a chance here. Kuokkanen sliding it through the left side, and now Reinberg, the late inclusion. It's deflected twice, back to Kuokkanen, and his shot now goes down to the line. And as the referee is holding up play, he's got Mindle players in his ear here.
No, the ball's gone out the gate, open for warm-up, Teo. That's also, they're just waiting for another football to come down.
So it will be a throw. But yes, John, the question of the offsides at the other end, I'll get back to that after this phase of play. Lee. Now, Kuokkanen protecting the ball. Sends it to Kudo, and then Barry just made it a contest and gradually won the ball off him, but good defending, charging through Zach Kirby. Tried to play it straight up the middle to Ludvigsen. No go. Now the ball is back at Barry's feet. Powell.
In answer to your question, Teo, I think it's just a bit of eagerness. Obviously, they play such a structured style, Hellenic. Both those opportunities came about from probably a little bit more unstructured play on the break. So it's not something they would routinely practice, so get a bit too keen, as opposed to necessarily the defence stepping up at the right moment.
McNabb has been caught offside a couple of times. This time he's starting his run from far deeper, and he's going to swing the cross in early. Big deflection off Mifsud, and wins the corner. And they do have a number of tall players, Hellenic, so it always makes them a potential threat at set pieces. James Rushton Woods will go over to take the corner kick. Leading 1-0 thanks to a goal in the opening minute.
Yeah, as I spoke about, Powell will certainly be a target here, but at the back post, Alex Turner always dangerous with one they're trying to pick out as well.
Well, they did get an open header. It was Barry, and you can see him swiveling the body, trying to turn it towards goal. It's bounced big off his head and gone out for a goal kick. But that's a couple of first headers at corners for Hellenic. So the middle defence is shortly on notice.
Well, they must be, and because it won't be the last lot of corners they get this match either. They've got to be better than that in the air, or they'll cop one from a set piece, which Danny McCormick will be particularly frustrated with.
Goal kick doesn't get a huge amount of distance. See Bell lurking, trying to return it with interest. Not forthcoming. Now again, just pinball at the moment. Going back and forth. See if Mindle can keep it on the deck. They reset here. Barry throwing his body into the mixer. Nan and Niembo combined. And now Sulavmaski. Oh, it looked like it was off the arm, outside the penalty area. Play's going to continue. Niembo, that is a gift. An absolute gift. And Joseph Niembo almost seemed surprised by his good fortune as he makes it 2-0. Mindle stopped to the cries of handball. Not that it really mattered. It was outside the area, but they were caught flat-footed. And Joseph Niembo, luck's to fortune, his finish was very good, but really the middle defence only have themselves to blame. John, what on earth just happened?
As you say, Theo, everybody stopped, and you couldn't have said it better. Niembo, the ball fell to his feet. He couldn't believe his luck, and he's just almost toe poked. It was with the outside of the right foot, but he's just prodded it home. And everyone was all at sea. 2-0, 20 minutes in. You wouldn't read about it.
And that is his third, I should say, of the season. Moves up with Turner on 3 for Hellenic. Gee, they are now in a very strong position. Bell in the first minute, Niembo in the 20th. That goal difference of theirs, plus 26 as it stands. Mindle would be down to plus 13, so double the goal difference. McNabb shaking off his marker. Can they make it 2 in a minute? They can! Bell gets another, and this is becoming a rout. Nearly 60 seconds between the goals. It is 3-0. Hellenic on fire, John.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I said they were up for it, Theo, but even I couldn't have seen this coming. And the way that they're going about it here, Mindle need a reaction just to stem the flow, because Hellenic look like it can just score at will at the moment.
Teams, you never want to be one to advocate for sitting back and trying to protect the goal difference, but I guess the good news for Mindle is they're not really any great risk of being caught by Casuarina. They're still 11 points ahead of them. But it really is more about, John, at this point, potential mental scarring, because if Hellenic go and win this by 4, 5, 6 plus, that could really make them feel as though they're unbeatable whenever they see Mindle as their opponent. Here's Sulavmaski. Can he make it 3 goals in 2 minutes? Or deflection looping over the bar. There's a real air of the Brazil versus Germany World Cup semi-final in 2014 about this, John. It feels like they're going to score every time they attack.
Yeah, well, we'll come back to that and see if there is 7. But, yeah, certainly the Hellenic players clearly believing that they can score at any moment. And you talk about mental scars. We spoke about it in the pre-game. Mindle were up for this from the point of view that they got beat 4-0 last time. And obviously they're a young team that's on the rise and they want to get these scalps and collect them. So they were already hurting pre-game. If this gets to be a bloodbath, you don't know what damage that's going to do to them in the run-in.
Right now they need to focus on locking down their defence. That's been sliced high by Johnny Pencho, by no means out of danger. Oh, bounce with backspin. I don't want this to end up on a blooper reel going around the world here, Mindle, as the cross is blocked away. And now the follow-up from Powell. Solid defensive header. Just don't concede from this phase of play, lads. It's still pinball madness at the moment. Here comes Kenneth Nahn, and it's out for a corner, and everyone take a deep breath and reset and defend once again. This is the team that started the night on top of the ladder, under siege at the moment. So corner kick coming up for Jesse Rushton-Woods. Rushton-Woods with a high corner. Beyond all in the penalty area. McNabb, we know he's very quick to swivel and turn, but he just gets his pocket picked by Taiki Kudo at the last there. And it means it's going to be a throw-in. John, can you hear much being shouted from the Mindle bench at the moment?
Nothing, Teo, to be honest with you. They're seated down in McCormack's at the edge of his technical area, but there's no instructions being given whatsoever. I think they're just formulating a strategy potentially, or looking for a response from the players on the pitch.
You spoke about some of the young players. What is, do you think, the primary difference in age? I mean, it does seem like each line of the Hellenic team has a senior custodian and each line of the Mindle team has a youngster. It does seem like there's a considerable experience gap between the two sides as Mindle hooked the ball away. I suppose like any team, it's about that critical mass of, if you just have one too many or one senior player too few, it can tip the balance quite quickly, can't it?
Oh, absolutely, and it's that balance between youth and experience. And Hellenic, you know, that's probably been one of their Achilles heel, is they're very much a team full of experience. The Embo's only in the side as a result of Jesse Pinto's injury. Otherwise, it would be almost experience across the park from them. But when the thick and fast games come running in, obviously the older you get, no matter how well you look after yourself, it's more challenging to back that up week after week. So Mindle are much more at the other end of the spectrum, and they're looking to be consistent. You know, they're a great side, but what makes a great side brilliant is when their best game and their worst doesn't have much difference. And as you can see at the moment, there's still that level of inconsistency despite how well they've been playing. And so they'll be keen to make a difference here at the back end of this first half and try and nab one back and just build on that to try and turn their fortunes around.
Hard to believe it's only 25 minutes in as McNabb is onside and away. Can he turn provider? He went for it himself on a slightly acute angle, even more acute by the fact that he had to open his body and shoot on his right foot. Had numbers advancing in the middle. So we see first time volley.
Sorry, I was going to say the form he's in, he's got a lethal left footer. I expected him to just unleash that one there at the near post, but he's tried to open the body with the right foot. 3-0, have a lash done.
Not to beat. And so Hellenic, a patient build-up this time. They have rocked Mindil in this first half. Don't go anywhere, though, because this league consistently throws up massive momentum swings. Teams coming back from unexpected or seemingly impossible situations. It is a competition that's got the lot. Though I can't help but just creep over to the record book, or the fixture list, perhaps a fairer way of saying it, and just look at the most one-sided scores of the season. Mindle Aces beat Uni Utsuri 5-1 back in round 3. Hellenic beat Port 5-1 in round 4. We mentioned through John Dean the 4-0 when these teams met in round 5. Hellenic the victors on that occasion. There's been a couple of other 4-0s throughout the course of the season, but as we see down the right side here, high ballooning cross, no threat to the Hellenic goal. Since the COVID restart, we've had Uni Utsuri win 7-2 against Port Darwin. That is the most one-sided game of the season so far. Other than that, we've only seen 6 goals once, and that was Casuarina against Darwin Hearts, and that was all the way back before the COVID shutdown. So 5 happens occasionally, 4 happens on a weekly basis, but 6 and 7, John, not to get carried away, not to put the cart before the horse with so much time to go in this game, but if Hellenic were to score 5 or more, it would be an unprecedented result based on what we've seen so far this season in a league that we have regularly praised for its competitive balance, as we see a header from Lee here, prevent a potential 4th, danger not yet averted. Barry waits for runners down the left, but he sold that one well short. Pencho clearing away. And now Mindil with a bit of space to just play the ball. Own possession, miffs it through the left side, and then the run of Reinberg is pulling up very quickly. Just didn't sit quite right for him. That clearance, though, has been intercepted. Quakinen. They're advancing more players up the pitch here, Mindil. And Nan is quick to block the ball away.
In answer to your earlier question, Theo, I don't think they'll be putting the queue in the rack. We've got Simon Bell's already got a hat-trick ball low into him this year, but he's been taken off a few times when he's been sitting on a brace. He'll be certainly keen to get a third one away before he may be replaced by John Francis later in the match. There's also competition for places on the wings, as you alluded to before, so I can't see Hellenic taking the foot off the throat at any stage just yet.
As we see a deflection out here. Well, how, as a player heavily involved in the league, how are you finding just the rhythm of training? Does it feel like it's back to a normal season and it's just the season grind has been moved back by a couple of months, or does it still feel like the COVID season and like things are very different?
Yes and no to both questions. I guess is that there's elements of it that feel absolutely normal now. Particularly the midweek football, this is when we'd be playing cup games. But also at the same time, it's still very different the way things are going about.
Good goalkeeping there by Race, getting out of his line, sinking the slipper, keeping it away from the on-rushing Bell. Of course, NPL Victoria and the FFA Cup, both a casualty of COVID, but other NPL and competitions around Australia are back. NT was the first back, definitely the most advanced in terms of completing a season. Just hope for the best and that there's no cause to have to pause or cancel anything further. As we see another high, aimless cross from the right side, and that one at least didn't sail out of play, but they've had no joy from wide areas so far tonight, Mindle.
None whatsoever. And to your earlier point, I don't wish to rub it in, Theo, but we had our last current COVID case resolved today, so we're back to zero in the territory at the moment. So touch wood, long may it continue, and we can keep football going with it.
No, I could not agree more. I think the most important thing is that Victoria serves as a warning to the rest of the country as opposed to simply the first to go through it. The last thing I think anyone wants to see is the spread continue and for community sport to be shut down again. It's had a devastating effect, not just on the round ball game in Victoria, but all local Aussie rules called off as well. You see the ball out here. I suppose the culture of Aussie rules in the territory is a bit different, and the Victorians have always been open to the idea of going up and playing over what is normally the Victorian off-season. Must admit, I'm almost a little bit surprised that some Victorian players haven't tried to find a way into this league. I know that more and more names are starting to pop up in Sydney and Brisbane and Adelaide who previously played for NPL Victoria teams and were going to this year. But no one from Darwin has seized the bull by the horns, so to speak, and tried to put someone in quarantine for a couple of weeks, John, and then try to get them out on the pitch to end the campaign?
Look, it's still a couple of hours till the cut-off at deadline day in this league, so don't be surprised if a name or two pops up that has played in NBL Victoria by the time that the night's out, mate.
I'd be interested for you to tell me how that works. Is deadline day coinciding with 2/3 of the season, or is it more of an arbitrary date in the calendar?
It's typically 30 June, but due to the COVID period, it's been pushed back 2 weeks. There is a lot of Territorians that have been living and working elsewhere that are coming home, so given an opportunity to potentially get registered before the deadline shuts. That was agreed to by all of the clubs in the steering committee quite a while ago, but usually it's 30 June.
certainly in a competition where game to game you can see 5, 6, 7 changes in a senior team. The deeper your squad, the better it will have you for the run-in, especially given that pretty much every place on the table is still being contested in one way or another. Even though there's a big gap between the top 2 and the rest are all still hotly competing with each other for spots in the finals. And just settled a bit more.
Sorry,
John.
I was going to say that's the other big difference probably this season is you've still got 6 teams in contention for finals runs. You've got a really good one-on-one battle for first at this particular point in time. So, normally at this point in the season you'd see teams resting players, but that's not the case at this point. Everybody's going hell for leather in every game because there's so much at stake.
Here's a long shot from Niembo. A bit more impetus to it this time. Really never seen a goal scored in such a casual, almost afterthought manner. I'm sure if you were to ask Joseph Niembo after the game, he'll describe a lethal finish akin to Timo Werner rather than a lackadaisical little stroke into the back of the net that made it 2-0 and then it was 3-0 within a blink of an eye. And that is the deficit that Mindil are currently trying to work away at. But Eriku, who's been almost anonymous so far in this game, is denied by Adam coming up to the edge of his penalty area. Is it time, and I say this having watched Mindil I think 3 times in the last 4 weeks, John, although you saw him midweek, is it time to try Charles Eriku in the middle, or is it really a case of he's on a wing because that's his strongest position and it's about his teammates getting him into the game a bit more?
I think the latter at this point in his career. He's certainly a very talented player and will spend time in the middle as he develops, but he's very comfortable on the wing. The only way they get him in the middle at the moment is really a formation change to have both him and Tavian Ludvigsen in that centre position. But as you can see at the moment, he's just not getting any service, and they've got to bring him into the game if they want to get back.
Solid defensive header away on this occasion. 10 minutes plus stoppage until half-time. 3-0 the score. Hellenic have blown out this battle of the top 2 for the 2nd game in a row. Now we see McNabb taking the ball in stride, but Bell was almost standing on his tippy toes, and Maskey, speaking of getting the feet right, tripping over himself there as he sent that one into the night sky. That was Hellenic's first attack in a while. At least attack that ended in a shot, not on goal though. Ball's there to be won. Powell got the first touch, far from a decisive header though. Hooked away. Bouncing down to the goalkeeper, Arlo Race. And now he's just being made by Niembo to have to hurry back into his penalty area in order to pick the ball up. A lot more chat starting to come from the sidelines. You can hear coming through the effects microphone. As we see Rushton Woods getting in behind and put that one over the head of Simon Bell. He ends up in the back of the net, but the ball didn't. And it runs out for a throw. But he is hunting that hat-trick. He's a proper striker, isn't he? His first thought is always about how he can put the ball in the net, isn't it, John?
It is, and we've spoken about it previously, though. He's really brought a passing game into his game over the last 12, 18 months as well, which he's very proud of. And I can tell you, as I searched through the Facebook comments, as always, Danielle, Belle is there from England in Manchester watching on her son, so hello all the way on the other side of the world. Very proud, I'm sure.
Oh, great audience that we have thanks to social media, YouTube, Facebook, web streaming, taking this competition to all corners of Australia and the world. And yes, if you're a connection to the Hellenic club, so far, so good for them tonight. Still a long way to go. Plenty that could potentially change in the game. And as the ball goes out for a throw at right back, just wanted to ask about the referee tonight as well. We've barely mentioned Ryan Prescott so far, but Ben Kyvert's back as an assistant referee. Of course, these big games, they come with a lot of responsibility. We haven't seen a card as yet. We've barely seen any significant foul calls either. Games can turn at the drop of a hat, though. I tend to recall saying that a couple of times in NT games, that there'd been few fouls early, but then by the end of the night there's cards and even reds. But Ryan Prescott, important game for all the officiating crew tonight as well, especially when it's the top teams squaring off.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think you've just put the mocker on it here. I expect there might be the first card of the night shown to Kuakunen, who didn't appreciate that challenge that came in from Jeffrey Niembo. But just the pace of the game so far hasn't really allowed for too much dirty play or rash tackles coming in. So as each team tires and we head into that last 5 minutes now before half time, maybe there will be a little bit more, and certainly in the second half. But I think we may be seeing a change here from Mindle Aces. It might be the end of the night for young Lee, and he'll be being replaced by Sean Henderson in number 16, who had some minutes midweek.
Well, you hope that's not an injury, because he did miss a fair chunk of games shortly after the COVID restart due to an injury, and only recently made his way back into the team. So that is unfortunate for Mindle. They burn an early sub, and it's Marcus Lee who comes off. Sean Henderson, as you heard from John, the number 16 is on. And a long ball from Hellenic is going to try and test out the new defensive arrangement for Mindle. This is going to be now a dangerous 5 minutes before half-time. They do not want to concede a fourth. If you're John Francis, what's your half-time team talk?
More of the same. More of that first 20 minutes. I said they wouldn't take the foot off the throat, but certainly you can feel the game's had the air sucked out of it the last 5 minutes or so. Everyone's just sort of taken their breath. So I'd be at them to come straight back out after half-time, assuming they don't get a fourth in the next 5 minutes, and get one and just put this game to bed. As you said, there's been plenty of tops and turns in this league, but nobody's come back from 4 goals down, so that'd be where I'd be aiming things from John Francis.
As we see here, the attempted flick pass through the left, not quite for Reinberg. Counter-attack is red alert here for the middle defence. Bell bullocking work and knocking over Kirby, giving away a foul as a result. Protests his innocence to the referee, but falling on deaf ears. Free kick given straight back. Sulav Maski's got a channel open here, and it runs onto Bell, and he turns provider here for Sulav Maski, who's missed it. Well, he's missed a couple of howlers this year, Maski. For such a brilliant player, he does have the head scratcher that pops up every now and then. And while it may not cost dearly on a night like tonight, John, I'm sure it's something he would love to get out of his game altogether and just have a bit more ruthlessness to himself.
Oh, absolutely. The radar was way off there from what was a position that you would have backed him to score in any day of the week. He makes the ridiculously difficult look very, very easy, but then he goes and does that at times, which would be frustrating, no doubt, as you say.
Well, Bell, very unselfish, trying to turn provider. Now McNabb gets a chance, and it's off the inside of the post. How unlucky can you be? 2 corner opportunities back-to-back. And now Maski is going to swing in a high cross. Feels as though the hammer is smashing around the nail, but is getting anything but the metal. And Mindle are able to escape. If they can counter and score here, this could be a big turning point. Not to be. Good defending coming across. That would have had such a big pendulum swing in the game. They can just peg a goal back now, Mindle. Hellenic will feel as though they've left 2 goals absolutely on the table, and late contact here on Reinberg is going to be a foul. But John Dean, McNabb, great run, almost a great finish. Denied by a coat of varnish on that occasion, the inside of the upright.
Yeah, and he took it again. You know, he opened the body up, took it right-footed. I thought that one was going to just roll in. I think Arlo Race and Gold thought the same thing. And unfortunately, Simon Bell was following up, but not following up exactly where he needed to be, and didn't have a tap in for his third.
So now, free kick, this time not Mifsud on duty. It's Evan Henderson instead. His free kick did not come to much. Naan, haven't called his name as often as you normally would in a game of this standing. It's almost not been needed because so much of the play's taken place ahead of him. And if the flag stays down here, McNabb has stolen an absolute march, and then he shanks the shots. And that, I'm going to rely on you with the naked eye here, John Dean, was not offside and would have counted.
100%. He was a mile onside. He timed his run perfectly. There was a defender probably out of your camera shot there on the left-hand side that was keeping him on. Brought it down well with the chest and just failed to hit the target, unfortunately.
Well, he more than made up for a couple of those offsides earlier in the night, because if you're going to spring the defence to that extent, bravo. It just needed the finish to pay off for the smart work, not to be. And Hellenic, well, it's end-to-end stuff at the moment, but most of it down at this end, the right of screen, Hellenic's end, as they take total control of this match. A fourth before the break, and it's going to be somehow even gloomier inside the Mindle rooms during half-time. Taking plenty of time over this free kick. Skims off the pack, booted away. Final seconds of the first half then. And as we hit the halftime break, stick around. Big second half coming up. The question is it going to be big and ugly for the Mindle Aces? Hellenic have had it over them, scoring in the first minute. Simon Bell with 2 goals and 1 for Joseph Niembo. Half-time at the Darwin Football Stadium. It's Hellenic 3, Mindle Aces 0. Stick around. Second half coming up soon.
Welcome back, half-time, Friday night football, Men's Premier League. Always an exciting time, beautiful conditions out there. Blink and things happen. Blink 3 times and 3 goals in. I've got John Dean with us, who's been calling it with Tio, that game and the live streaming across the Football NT network, plus Perform. What's going on?
Oh, as you say, blink and you'll miss it. For anyone that was late onto the stream, it was 1-0 in the blink of an eye, almost from the kickoff.
Wasn't it?
A brilliant run by Sulav Maski, one pass over the top. He's done a ball into Simon Bell, who finished, as I said in the call, with a plum at the near stick.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I said in the pre-game, I expected Mindil to come out sort of dictate the pace. Well, how wrong could I be? Hellenic came out and really took it to them.
They did.
And had another one very, very quickly, albeit fortuitously, for Jeffrey Niembo, who finished very coolly across cage into the bottom left-hand corner. And then Bell came again for the third one. And, you know, they're good value for their lead. Hellenic 3-0 is probably reflective of that first half. And, you know, Mindil didn't really have any answers. So it's a very important team talk here from Daniel McCormack at halftime.
I'm glad you mentioned the team talk, because as my way through, I went through and thought, what, no children here, please. He was into them. He was saying words like shambles, let's get focused, your head's in the dressing room. You know, and that's all I stayed for. I had to get out of there. But to your point originally, you know, you got to switch on from the whistle, and they seem to be inside the sheds.
Absolutely. And, you know, they would have expected Hellenic to come out and probably let them dictate and try and bounce, as I did.
Yep.
And how wrong can you be, as I said. So, you know, they've got to now refocus and come back and just try and get one to get themselves back in the game. Because, as I said in the call, you know, 3-0, they'll still feel that they're in this if they can fix their own issues. Hellenic put a fourth one away here early, and that's curtains.
Yeah, and you said, and you remember calling a very early game before, at the beginning of COVID, where they were up 3, and they actually lost the game.
Correct. Yep.
So that'll be in the back of some of the guys' minds there. Others will just be pushing forward. But if you're the coach of Mindle and you're going to talk to them in a calm manner, what are you looking for them to do across where I saw just time and space that Hellenic had?
Yeah, they're getting completely overrun in the midfield, which is then creating the counter-attack. So they just need to get the ball at their feet and then move for each other to create options. We talked about in the call that, you know, Kenneth Narn's hardly had anything to do. It's not even getting that far forward.
He's not sweeping at anything.
And then when the ball does get forward, Tavian Ludvigsen is really, really isolated. So they've got to bring Charles Ariku into the game. They've got to get Kuar Coonan and Kane McDowell on the ball together. I don't know that they've had more than 2 or 3 passes between one another at this particular point.
Absolutely.
That's their go-to. That's the way they're going to play themselves out of this. And then I'd look to see Tanu, who's a very dangerous winger for them, come on as well, get the ball at his feet and try and run at some players at some point in this second half.
Prew's on the bench as well?
He is. But at the moment, with a service that's going to Tavian Ludvigsen, Prew's is not going to make a difference unless they have a change in formation and try and put 2 up top. But that will probably expose them further the other way as well. So I can't see Pritt being introduced and making a difference. With all due respect to him, he's a good striker. Yeah. But if you can't strike if you don't have a ball to strike.
Okay, Johnny Dean with our expert and analyst of what's happening in that first half. And I still think if you're a Mindle supporter, you're just going, what just happened? It's like when someone takes your car park, you've been waiting an hour to get it. Unbelievable. Shock and horror. Anyhow, my name is Bruce Stauder. Thank you for joining us on the Perform Network. This is the Men's Premier League. It's live streaming right around the country and around the world. We really hope you're enjoying a 3-0 lead to Hellenic over Mindle. We'll see what Mindle can do. If they can track back 1, maybe 2, this game will be on for the ages. If, as John said, if 1's away for Hellenic, it could be good night Mindle. We'll wait and see shortly.
Welcome back to live pictures from Darwin Football Stadium, about to kick off the second half of this top of the table clash. And as things stand, top spot will be changing hands because Hellenic lead Mindle Aces 3-0. Double for Simon Bell, a goal as well for Joseph Niembo. That's what happened in the first half. And now Mindle in the black attacking the left of your screens in the second half will be trying to turn things around. How much of an indent can they make on a Hellenic defence that they did not test a great deal in the first half? Time to find out as we get back underway. Early touch for Taiki Kudo and then played back to the goalkeeper. And well, the good news is they've gone longer than they did in the first half without conceding because the ball was in the back of the net in seconds. This is Mario Kwakanen. Back to Matthew Mifsud. Now Kane McDowell in the middle. Mindil will be happy that they've owned the ball, but well, commentators curse. Possession given straight to Sulav Maski. And now Warren Barry, and it's Hellenic's turn to take over. And as I welcome John Dean back to the broadcast, John, to the naked eye, it looks as though Mindil have not made any subs at halftime. They had to use one in the first half, though, with Marcus Lee coming off. So maybe that's been part of the motivation of not wanting to chop things up too much at the break, as unhappy as Daniel McCormick would have been. As we see here, Johnny Pencho is being outrun here by Matthew McNabb, and it's a good save by Arlo Race. It wasn't the fastest moving shot, but as McNabb was bearing down on goals, he perhaps would have been concerned. Kwakanen has to turn, play it back to his goalkeeper. Oh, under pressure, it's run through his legs, and he had to get it away at all costs as he was being closed down by Joseph Niembo. And John, well, it didn't take long, but Mindil, again, their own worst enemy in defence.
Yes, absolutely. Into trouble, but you're correct in what you're saying. There was no changes for either side at half-time. And we'll see here if Hellenic can make this corner pay. As we said in the first half, they've got so many targets to pick out, and you can't give them so many opportunities.
Oh, that would have been really the worst possible way to start the second half had the goalkeeper been caught in possession there. A lucky escape. He scrambled at the last to get the ball out and away for a corner kick. Is there more pain on the way for Mindil? Good goalkeeping this time. Big double fist. Gets it to the edge of the box. Maskey, oh, he tried to dip it late. Shots from distance really are his specialty, but that one ended up a little bit high and a little bit wide, but it's not good for the goalkeeper because Arlo races down, and as he gets back to his feet, he's not going to wait for the trainer. He's going to try to get on with it. And John, that's another lucky break because the last thing that Mindil would have wanted is their goalkeeper having to leave the game.
No, absolutely. And he had a fair collision going up for the ball with Joel Powell earlier, who's not a small man, so he'll be feeling all of that. But to Sulav Maski, we spoke about it before, that was a really difficult shot on the turn there, and from that position here, it looked like it clipped either the top side netting or just the top of the crossbar. But, he had the chance earlier in the first half to bury one from a much more comfortable angle and couldn't put it on target. So, he'll be fired up now.
It just feels like there's non-stop drama in this game at the moment. It might be a lopsided score, but still no shortage of incident taking place in front of us here. This league never fails to disappoint. And, well, I should say, rephrase that, it never disappoints. It never fails to entertain. As we see a handshake here, McNabb is quick to leave the scene. Johnny Pencho perhaps remaining behind to ask if a booking was going to be forthcoming. The referee, Ryan Prescott, did not agree with the assessment. Still going to be a free kick, though. And all it takes is one Mindle goal, and anything's possible. Just something to plant a seed of doubt. Especially given some of the gilt-edged chances that Hellenic couldn't take before half-time. They should be 4-0 up and disappearing off into the distance at the moment. So free kick then. Rushton Woods takes, and it's cleared at the near post. It's going to run out for a corner kick. So the ball is living down at Hellenic's attacking end at this start of the second half. Normally at a corner like this, we'd talk about the threat of Mindle on the counter-attack, potential for Charles Eriku to run the length of the pitch. That feels a long way away at the moment with the way this game is going. Instead, they're trapped down in defence, and now a series of ricochets takes the ball out. And it's going to be 3 corners in a row, and they are under siege, John.
Certainly, and you feel 1-2 punch coming here. They've targeted a couple in at that near stick. And as I said before, Alex Turner really dangerous at the back post. You feel this one might go back and give him an opportunity. They've sucked ball.
Well, you called it, but the players in the penalty area weren't as switched on to that as you were, John.
I'm a far better coach than I am a player, Theo.
Well, it certainly isn't the end of Mindle's troubles. Here is the first half sub, trying to volley them down the line. Henderson, they can't even get it out of their defensive half at the moment as the ball is just donated back. And you've spoken both with me during the first half and then during the halftime show with Bruce about the isolation of Tavian Ludvigsson. And it looks as though Mindle hasn't really done a great deal to try and remedy that problem at the moment.
Not at first glance. They haven't had much in the way of opportunity though either. But, otherwise, it's just going to be very difficult night.
Maskey able to win the ball. Players snapping at the heels of Bell. Ambitious cross. Goalkeeper came racing out. Open net, 4-0. Arlo Race will be disappointed, and it's a muted celebration from Matthew McNabb because I think even he recognises that that one just fell in his lap, and not for the first time tonight. Mindle have come unstuck spectacularly in defence, and it just took basic fundamentals from Hellenic to punish them with yet another goal. And in just the 52nd minute, it's 4-0.
Yes, McNabb wound up then like he was going to absolutely throw the kick and think at it, saw that there was nobody there, stopped pulling the trigger and then just side-footed it home. You know, that's fantastic awareness from the player to get Hellenic ball.
And Arlo Race would love his time back on how he tried to challenge for that high ball. Trickery coming out from Naan. And McNabb, he was eyeing 2 goals in a minute there, but it was intercepted. And now Kwarkanen plays it to Kirby. Here's a chance. Eriku, flag stays down. Ludvigsson. Oh, and the numbers come across to close him down. Oh, little snap at the ankles, and he now goes over once, twice, and the referee's going to blow his whistle. What's the decision? I think if anything was a foul there, dare I suggest it, John, but the first of the 3 little bites at the ankles of Ludvigsson there, the one inside the penalty area looked like the most a foul of any of them.
I saw it as you saw it, Theo, but obviously the referees are closer than where I am here, so we've got to go with their call. But better play from Mindil. They got Eriku involved. He was able to get that ball to Ludvigsson. That's the channel that they've got to find if they're going to have any luck. So see if they can get something from this set piece here. They've got a few that are pretty lethal from it. It's a long mountain to climb from the comeback, so it's got to start here.
You're right. It was just very, very quickly. You saw Eriku in the channel there, able to transition play through that attacking third. It's what they'd been lacking in the game, and it's led to this set piece. Can they make the most of it? Bending in at the near post and headed into the side netting. If the grandstand was on the other side of the ground, that may have fooled a few, but no one went up for that as Sulav Maskey headed out at his near post. So now we wait for a corner kick instead. We've had a free kick from short corner distance. Now a proper corner coming up. Can't clear the near post. Maskey on duty again. There's a slip that's going to open the door for Barry, and he leaves the challenging players in his wake. Plays the ball to McNabb, and it just wouldn't sit for him. Follow up from Maskey. And then Barry, not on the same wavelength as McNabb on that occasion. They were putting together a very, very nice-looking move, but they weren't able to take it all the way. Hellenic, again, looking like they've got more goals in them. Not good for Mindil. Here is Niembo. Got one tonight, trying for another, and that's saved just out. It fell on the right side of the stick as far as Arlo Race was concerned. But that was good play from Joseph Niembo to sting his palms.
Well, he's high on confidence, isn't he? He's got the one goal now. He's not afraid to take it on, and that was a brilliant shot from him. And well done, Arlo Race, to get something on it. Strong wrist to stop it and push it onto the post.
Corner kick. And first header looping over the bar. And it came from a man who'd stayed down, really, but goalkeeper was flat-footed. They are threatening a fifth. So early in the night for a scoreline like this as well, Hellenic, but they get closer and closer each time. If there are going to be more goals for them, you just hope that they come as the result of good play rather than a Mindle mistake. And again, Race has to switch on. The words got out from Hellenic. They are definitely eager to close him down whenever he's got the ball at his feet. Can Mindle open some gaps up here? Ludvigsen. The wall pass goes straight to Niembo. Now back to McAdam, who's had a far quieter night in goal for Hellenic. On the right, Bell. He wants his hat-trick, or he wants an assist. McNabb denied the ball there. And as the whistle goes, it's going to be a restart for Hellenic.
It's just out of our shot there, Teo. Zach Kirby's down. He's clutching at his chest. I'm not sure if he's copped a run on the way through or what's happened there, but I'm checking the trainer will be called on shortly to come and see what's going on there, if he's all right.
You hope so. Kirby scored midweek in the 4-0 win against Casuarina, and well, Tuesday night's romp must feel like a distant memory by now for the Mindle players here. The effects of playing their third game in 6 days no doubt will be a factor as the night wears on. You wonder how much pain may be added to this existing scoreline if the Mindle legs give way. They are known as and have a reputation for being a fit team. Free kick for Hellenic, though, this time. Powell. And from the centre of defence, solid defensive header away. Rundberg, free kick. Too far to shoot on goal. Maskey protests his innocence.
Yeah, to that point, Teo, Brian McCormack, who does some work with Melbourne City in the A-League, is up here at the moment, obviously with COVID going on, being a strength and conditioning coach, and did the pre-season with Mindle. So, to my knowledge, they're the only team with a dedicated, ongoing strength and conditioning coach, and you can see the benefits of that in the way that they play. So we'll have the first substitution for the evening with McNabb coming off and Munya Raparangunda coming on. So it doesn't get any easier for Mindle Aces on the flanks.
It doesn't, and this is interesting because I think McNabb has been excellent tonight. He was offside quite a few times, I think 2 or 3 in the first 15 minutes or so, but then once he got his timing right, he became a lethal player, and this is the man who's challenging him for that starting 11 spot. Here are the Raparangunda comes on. So having watched the player challenging for his very spot in the team have a good night, he'll be out to prove a point. Here's Maskey in the meantime, and he tried for one of his little swerving outswing specials, but he just didn't hit it right. You could see there it was tumbling off the boot rather than airborne, and that made it about as easy as it gets off the boot of Sulav Maskey, which is still by no means easy. Hello Race would have been relieved that he didn't get it airborne and make it a bit more dangerous. Sideways pass to get back underway. Henderson. Taiki Kudo. Foul and free kick going the way of Mindle. Reinberg knocked over.
Mifsud's very dangerous on these flat pieces, so he'll look to swing this in. You'd imagine that Kane McDowell is the obvious target at the near post if he just beats this wall and tries to get a flick on.
So he's got to find a teammate's head here. Do a bit of repair work to the goal difference. As we've crossed the hour mark. Mifsud. Oh, he can't lift the ball. It's nodded away at the top of the box. Mindle trying again. Pack of players. Referee whistles. And if that's been handled, it's just outside the penalty area. And this is going to be perfect for a potential direct shot on goal. Eagle-eyed work from the referee. Big conference going on here for the Mindle free kick. Who's going to take it? Got to hit the target. They'd love to score.
I think the youngster will be standing over this one, Henderson. So he's obviously got something that they like, because I would have expected more senior players to full rank.
Hopefully that means it's something special waiting. Plenty of respect being shown by Hellenic here. 5 in the wall, 6 in the wall.
I think it's actually 7.
7 in the wall. And all of that, pomp and circumstance and anticipation for a bit of an anticlimax. You don't see a 7-man wall too often, do you? I mean, that was begging for Mindle to try and catch them with the short pass and the element of surprise instead.
Well, absolutely, because there was only the goalkeeper and 2 other defenders in the box. Simon Bell was up here waiting for a counter on halfway, so a little bit of slight of foot there, and they could have had almost a tap in.
Pencho loses out to the sub. Ruparanganda on the left here. Swept on by Barry, setting a task for Niembo. Well, he was second to the ball, but he's done well enough to knock Kirby off his balance. Not well enough to win a corner, though. It is going to be a goal kick. McDowell, high boots. Referee agrees.
It's right in front of my commentary position here. Oh, sorry, Taylor, it's right in front of my commentary position. I can see his foot actually kicked Kenneth Nunn in the head, and Nunn didn't make a big deal out of it at all. That's what you want to see from a player. Got on with business, got the free kick, carry on.
I think he did it in front of the right bench as well. Had it been in front of the other technical area, the response, even if Kenneth Nunn didn't want to draw much attention to it, he may not have had a choice on behalf of his teammates. Anyway, play continues. It's a distant memory now. Underhit pass from Maskey, or maybe just Niembo, not quite on the same wavelength with his run. Powell doing the defensive work here. Now on the right side, Russian Woods has got space to send a short pass to Barry. I thought he was going to load up a big cross. Decided to slip it in short. Didn't quite work out. Now the whistle goes. Niambo, too much attention on Kane McDowell. Free kick.
There was a shove-in back play there on Charles Ariku, and referee determined that Kane McDowell wasn't going anywhere, so brought it back for the free kick.
Loose pass gives away possession. Barry. Maskey. Against the touchline, Henderson. He's trying to go back to go forward. Mifsud. Oh, nearly a nice pass. Glancing on from McDowell, but Henderson had to hit that at full speed to make it work. Bit more energy this time from Taiki Kudo to try and launch a counter-attack, but attempting to keep it in came unstuck for Reinberg over against the paint of the touchline. Game's fallen into a real lull, John. Needs a player to go and just grab it and press some life back into matters.
You're absolutely right. You know, Mindil, I'm looking at their bench at the moment to see if there's anybody that wants to get on there and grab this game by the scruff of the neck and try and arrest the momentum for them. And there's not much in the way of movement, but they've got a few players on the pitch that can do that. And Charles Ariku is certainly one of them. That ball breaks for him, but he's beaten to it by the goalkeeper.
And feels like the game itself is in it.
Oh. Sorry, Tay, I was just saying Warren Barry is obviously on the same wavelength as you, the Hellenic captain. He's out there at the moment trying to G his troops up. Saying, come on, big 10 minutes, let's lift it up, boys. The air's gone out of the tyres here. So he can sense the same as we can see here from the outside.
I think the best way you can do that is just to try and get the ball at his feet. Set an example. It's what the game's crying out for at the moment. Someone to take the game on. Might be right here. Big slide challenge, crunching from Powell. And the referee says yellow card. So he's gone through and, well, he's got the pulses racing, but maybe not the way that the game was hoping for, because it means that it's going to be accompanied with a stoppage here due to a fallen player.
A difficult one there for Joel Powell, because I think he got all ball. That's just a big, strong challenge. Unfortunately, the referee says he's taken too much to the man afterwards, but you know, hard to fault your fullback there. He's been brilliant tonight. He's had the job of marking Tavian Ludvigsen, hasn't left him more than a metre out of his sight all night. I can tell you that he's actually recently moved in the same building as Tavian Ludvigsen, so he's been marking him in the elevator for practice during the week. But he's done a brilliant job so far tonight.
Well, very nice. For your sake, John, Dean, I hope you had that one saved up in your notes. If you've arrived at that one spontaneously, very well done.
I live in the same building, mate.
Oh, it's almost like an isolation hub for the Football NT Men's Premier Division. You've got stolen the march on. I probably shouldn't make light of it, but it's akin to the AFL or some of the US sports and the NRL at the moment. Here's the free kick for Mindle. And solid defensive header from Powell. May have given away that free kick, but it's a low five with his goalkeeper as he puts it behind for a corner here. Short corner. Lifted into the box. Up goes Eriku. And was the flag up there, John? Because I'm not sure what Kirby was attempting with his header inside the 6-yard box there.
It was up. Kirby was offside. Ariku wasn't, but I don't know that Kirby knew he was offside. I think he was just trying to get his head around it. But body position, had no chance.
So trying for the element of surprise with that short corner. It does not come to much. It's been the story and attack tonight for Mindle, and unfortunately for the neutral, it must be said. It's looking increasingly unlikely that we're going to get a miracle comeback. 20 minutes to go. I suspect only cards and a really dramatic change in the tone of the game is going to swing anything from here in Mindle's favour, and even then that might just be to do a bit of repair to the scoreline.
It's just been another card shown then to young Henderson. Sorry, had a bit too much to say just off camera there. Cam McDowell, the captain's just trying to calm him down at the moment.
It's not what you want to see, talking your way into the referee's book, especially in such a well-behaved game. Few fouls.
No. He's got, as I said, he's got the senior players there just making sure he calms down, and he'll do well to listen to them.
3 yellow cards now issued in the match, but certainly a game that's been played in the right spirit. Bell is trying to re-engage with the contest here. The ball at his feet. Closed down in a 1-on-2. Didn't see Henderson coming in from the blind side. He's just got the red mist up at the moment, Henderson. He's going to back off here and let Kane McDowell go and do the defending work out against the touchline. It's about channeling that aggression the right way, isn't it? Because Simon Bell's a big, imposing man, and Henderson went in shoulder to shoulder and made the challenge there, John. So he's clearly got the courage. You just want to make sure that it's not misdirected.
Yeah, certainly. And we can see there's a couple of substitutions coming now, one from each side. And it is interesting because it's Rontos coming on for Hellenic for Jeffrey Niembo, but he has got a cannon of a throw. So whether he comes straight over and takes this off James Ruston Woods to put in, because the bench was straight up as soon as that ball went out. Meanwhile, it's Tarnu that's coming on for Johnny Pinto. And then we've also got Prit Cruz coming on for that young man, Henderson. So he's been brought off. Obviously, the red mist descended too far, and they've decided to take him off before he gets himself in further trouble.
Oh, so they've subbed the sub. Henderson came on for the injured Lee in the first half. He's now left the game. How about that for a situation-based play? 4-0 up. Game in safekeeping. Bring on the long throw specialist. And it almost met Slavmaski. Shouts for a penalty. 2 Mindle players had first dibs on the ball and nearly made a meal of it. They escape and counter, though. McDowell. Now, the subs are getting involved here. Prit Bruce. Oh, that would have been a marvellous reintroduction to rivalry with Hellenic had he been able to go further there, but just left the ball behind as he tripped over himself. Might get another opportunity here. The Estonian, Prit Bruce. And now the Finn, Kwarkinen. Back to Bruce. Oh, what a difference he's made since coming on. Ludvigsson! Great save. McNabb, strong hand and had to be. This is a different Mindle. Swung to the far post, back into his Ludvigsson. Oh, he lost his footing at the key moment. How about that, though, John? Mindle, it's like they didn't just sub on new players, they subbed on new attitude.
Hey, absolutely, and they've brought a new formation with it, and obviously Hellenic haven't adjusted to that straight away, but they've got 2 at the top now with Ludvigsson and Cruz, and it's proving dangerous.
Sliced attempted clearance, not out of trouble just yet, Hellenic. And Maskey now gets it up to Bell. This might actually prove a good tonic for Hellenic in terms of forcing them to mentally sharpen back up as well. How about Mindle just flicking the switch almost? And now, as the whistle goes, they've got a free kick. You don't want it to be a sugar hit off the bench, though, John. You'd love them to sustain this level of purpose and intensity for the remaining 15 minutes.
Yes, certainly. And Cruz had his first run back last week. Got a few minutes and was getting the rust out. So hopefully that's gone now, and he's got quality, because he's not going to have the same number of chances that he's had previously. He's going to have to take whatever he gets. Yeah, certainly I expect that they'll finish very strongly here, Mindle. They won't want it to be finishing 4-0.
Free kick, mid-range, pack of players waiting. Game is definitely as much on Mindle's terms as it's been at any stage of the game to this point. Kudo. Vrontos leaping against Ludvigsen. Ball is sliced out to the wing. It's a good slide challenge coming in. Well timed there from Turner. He's able to feed his teammate. Now Bell stopped in his tracks. Miffs it, timed it well. And then went and ran into a 50-50 against Vrontos, but it's still going to be a Mindle throw. The drummer has found his paddle in the crowd. That's reflecting the increased rhythm in the game as well. Hurdling through challenges. Ludvigsen. Back to Mifsud. Mindle in possession, looking confident. Looking like a different team. McDowell. Not so good on this occasion, getting caught in possession. Tanu. Kudo out-muscled by Rushton Woods. Naan the beneficiary. And then, uncharacteristically, gives the ball away with his pass. Tanu. McDowell turned his back on Barry, but Barry didn't want to come in and challenge from behind, so the ball keeps moving. Bruce. Ludvigsen, first time he's really faced goal tonight, tries to provide for Eriku, and McAdam does well to get off his line, but if only we'd seen this from kickoff, John. I reckon that your pre-match preview, you were talking about this sort of football. It's turned up 75 minutes late.
You get some right and you get some wrong, unfortunately, don't you? And they're bringing young Kelly on now for Reinberg, who was obviously thrust into the starting team. He has got wheels, young Kelly, so he'll try and make a nuisance of himself. But Tavian Ludvigsen, third top scorer in the league, he's had a sight on goal, and you want him to take that on as much as he's tried to play in Charles Iriku. Just have a shot, test the keeper. He can sort of put them on his shoulders and carry them back into this along with Rick Cruz.
I couldn't agree more, especially when he's been starved of opportunity. Most of the time we've seen him, it's been 1-on-2, leaping for a aerial ball where he's not the favourite to win it, or back to goal. And I'm not so sure that's a foul there. I think that was just good physical play from Dexter Newman, but the referee, stick with the referee's decision. Free kick taken quickly, and rather than let Taiki Kudo fire on target, the referee says, do it again. We weren't ready. So now perhaps some more traditional delivery. Mindle have just got the bit between the teeth at the moment. They've kind of put the scoreline out of their minds. They're just playing like they are trying to prove a point more than anything. Attempted counter from Rushton Woods, not going too far. Tanu backtracking. Kudo has come into the game quite significantly since the subs that have swung the momentum. Not on the scoreboard, just in general play. Tanu. And with a little nick off his marker, it is going to be Mindle throw. Eriku. No space to work with. Harassed right to the line before it goes out. Ludvigsen. Oh, he tried to run onto the throw quickly. I wonder, the pitch, look, aesthetically, definitely perhaps as worn as it's been this season, but I think this is a problem unique to Ludvigsen. He's lost his feet, I reckon, 2 or 3 times tonight, John, just when he's needed purchase, when he's needed grip in the ground, at that vital stage where your mind is anywhere but on what your boots are doing. They've just given way on him, haven't they, as we see a sub come through here, and Charles Eriku is off, and it is Levi Winman coming on.
Yeah, in answer to your question, yes, it is dewy out there. It's quite wet on the foot, probably the dewiest that it's been in any of our games so far this season. That's what, I said it's a bit more humid this week than it's been in previous games. And so Ludvigsen, it's his first season in the league. He's just finding that out the hard way. Might have to go for the longer studs because they have let him down, because that was a sharp throw from Eric, who saw the space, and he probably should have run onto it. But I'll be impressed with Winman here. He's already played 75 minutes in reserve grade tonight and been pulled onto the bench at the last minute. So he's not there for his energy and enthusiasm, but let's see what legs he's got left.
He's going to have to dig deep. Big second win for him. Charles Eriku was actually, again, one of the players who was benefiting from this tonal shift in the game. Ludvigsen, likewise, through the right side. Winman, fresh legs off the bench. Important from the keeper to tip it initially. And Prit-Bruce sweeps it in. It's 4-1, and he is waving the Mindle team back to the centre line, saying 3-0 down has been done. Let's give 4 our best shot. And while it was initially good keeping from McAdam, his parry fell to a foe, and it allowed Pruce to knock in after a short pass to his left foot.
And they've deserved that from their play for the last probably 5 or 6 minutes. Mindle, they've really started to change the way they play since those subs have come on that you talked about. So we'll see if that shocks Hellenic back into action here, because as you said before that, if you go back 15 minutes or so, the game had sort of come to almost a lull in intensity.
Well, if nothing else, it'll just be a little reminder of what's out there and what's possible. This is the third head-to-head meeting between the teams, so the next time they meet, you'd assume it will be in the finals. It takes something pretty extraordinary for these two not to have 1, if not 2 more contests between now and the end of the year. And Maskey here could be about to restore the 4-goal buffer. Turns provider. Rapurangunda, and no power behind the header. Maskey said, "You should have left it for me. I was right behind you." If they'd scored a 5th there, that would have just reasserted their dominance on tonight's match, but not to be. Instead, the Mindle revival attempting to continue on. Turner. Oh, looks like a handball. And as the ball spills in the penalty area, the referee perhaps unsighted.
Saved by the offside flag.
Right. Flag up over on the outer side. Thank you to John Dean. Our eyes at the venue tonight. 2-pronged attack to broadcasting the Football NT Men's Premier Division. Game's taken me away from the last talking point I had tonight, John, which was looking ahead to Saturday's games and getting your thoughts on both of them. It's actually quite nice that what looked like a game that was petering out has sprung back to life, but next break and play we will get to it. Right now, though, Rapurangunda has stolen a march on the right side. Munya onto his left side. Is he going to shoot? He's apprehensive. He rolls it past Bell. Now Barry with a bender, and it's a good save. Rapurangunda still trying to find a teammate rather than the goal. Back to Vrontos. And his cross is intercepted by Taiki Kudo. Delicate dink out in front of the running man, and that is a full-blooded challenge from Newman to stop it progressing any further.
Yeah, it's a solid challenge.
Saturday afternoon, game, John.
Oh. No, I was just going to say, that's probably the one criticism in Milne Rapurangund's game is he gets himself in a fantastic position, doesn't take the shot on, too unselfish at times, and he's sort of shown you in one movement, well, that's out there. So get him another opportunity and get him on goal, get him to lash at that. But in terms of Saturday afternoon, the early game, Port Darwin taking on Casuarina. Obviously, Casuarina have had a long run of games through this round 19, round 20 period. So they're not at full strength at this weekend, and Port Darwin similarly trying to get back in the winners' circle as well. So that'll be a very good contest. It's third against fifth with a lot to play for. I'm expecting a hard-fought battle in what's going to be some pretty hot conditions tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock.
What is the forecast temperature for the mid-afternoon heat, John?
We expect to be kicking off, if it's not north of 30, we're going to be just under in the afternoon, and there's no real breeze to speak of other than the V8 down the road at Hidden Valley. So yeah, it's going to be a tough one, and still a little bit stickier than previously as well as that humidity starts to creep in.
So that's the Saturday afternoon kickoff as we see Mindle into the penalty area, but it's an up and under header that can't trouble McAdam. And then the night game, Darwin Hearts, they're still perhaps forlornly now looking for another win. Are they going to find any joy, though, against the very erratic Uni Atsuri, who put 7 past them, let's not forget. When they got a roll on, they filled their boots against Darwin Hearts. As we see a bending ball over the top here. Oh, and skied into the night. I don't think they understood there just how much time they had, Mindle. They had 2 out the back on the left side there. But yes, Uni Atsuri, and then the second time they met, it was not as high-scoring an affair, a bit more of a struggle, and perhaps reflective of how much Hearts have improved in a defensive sense. We're going to see a sub coming up here for Hellenic. Esperan Mushigero. Well, not for the first time. You actually called it in the first half, John. He gets subbed off with 2 to his name, and he doesn't round out the hat-trick.
It's good for the team now. It's important for Hellenic that these young kids are getting some game time, because if there is injuries or suspensions leading into the finals, that they've got some time in their legs and they're used to playing in this Premier League conditions, not in reserve grade, getting minutes in their leg.
Oh, right on cue. A bit of a sore ankle there for Parangunda as he was knocked over. Gingerly getting back to his feet.
We time's up to you earlier. Sorry, Teo. I was going to say, if you go back to your earlier question about Hearts, I think they'll certainly think that they can win that game tomorrow. It really just depends which jury turns up. They've been so erratic, and I wouldn't like to be betting on them. Certainly, it just depends on where they're at as a team, because they have a brilliant squad. I believe this year is Ruston Woods from distance.
And Parry is going to fall, and you can see there a bit of energy from Mushigero, but ultimately left in a worse position to be able to keep challenging. So it's swept away to safety eventually.
So Hearts, we're talking with their coach Aldrich. They're trying to finish out games, obviously making a step up from the 3rd division into Premier League. They're falling away right at the important moment. That 60-minute mark. When they get a goal down, that's really come back. So they're working on that, and they won't be easy beats.
Here's Brontos, long solo run, stops and props. His opponent's left on the ground. What a goal! Put that in your personal highlight reel. Ilianos Brontos, and he goes for the back foot as well. Every party trick he had, went for the ankle breaking stop in the turf, and his opponent went belly down onto the turf. He went outside of the boot, and he's pulled out the big celebration as well. There's a nightclub in Darwin. I reckon he's going to go and destroy the dance floor too. John Dean, it's 5-1.
It certainly is, and I'm sure Brontos will be visiting Monsters on Mitchell Street a little bit later this evening, no doubt.
That is exactly what you want to see from a sub. Fresh legs late, good run, able to outfox his defender and leave him sprawling. Confident finish, the sort of shot you take when you're 4-1 up, I suppose. And then how about the athletic ability to pull out the flip as well? Just a bit of showmanship at the end of the night.
Well, if you've got it in your locker, why not? I certainly wouldn't be taking it on, but clearly he's done that before.
And he joins a long list of players who have scored for Hellenic this season with his first strike of the campaign. Bell has 14, Maskey 6, Barry 4, Turner and Niembo 3 each. McNabb is up to 2. Bullman, Rush and Woods, Pinto, Powell, and now Vrontos. Can Mushigero get in on the act? We're in the last minute of regulation. Mindle's comeback amounted to 1 goal total. They did look good for 10 minutes or so there, though. Just enough of a taste of what might be coming the next time they meet, if they can get the full complement on the pitch and switched on from the off. As things stand, Hellenic is going to go top of the league, 30 points, goal difference of plus 28, and Mindle having played a game extra. We see now a bit of cool school from Kane McAdam as well down on the last line of defence, but Mindle will be 29 points. Significantly, their goal difference will be plus 11. So the goal difference gap, 17. They're going to be a point ahead with a game in hand, Hellenic. And that game comes on the 25th of August against the bottom side, Darwin Hearts. So they play midweek, a couple of weeks from now. Can they make it 5-2? Can they do a bit of window dressing to the scoreboard here, Mindle? Oh, maybe Winman didn't realise how much space he had there to take the ball down rather than attempt to head it straight away. John Dean, who's your player of the match? Plenty to choose from tonight.
Yeah, there certainly is. I struggle to really signal one player out, and even some of the players that have been taken off have made a real impact for Hellenic. So I'm struggling. I don't know. What about yourself, Theo?
That's why I asked you as the expert, John. Sometimes these things are clear-cut. Sometimes they are very tough decisions. I am going to choose... I'm going to play it safe and go with the man who is shooting just wide of a potential goal here. No, I'm going to go with Simon Bell. 2 goals in the first 20 minutes. He set the tone when the game was hot. If I wanted to go off Broadway, I'd suggest that Matt McNabb was excellent in this game, but he was getting caught offside back when Bell was hitting the back of the net. So I think one of the reasons this game has been a blowout is because Bell was sharp when the game was there to be won and decided early.
Yeah, hard to argue. I think the midfield certainly did a really good job as well. Warren Barry had a great game pulling the strings there. And, you know, the defence combination, but in particular Joel Powell, as I spoke about, did a really good job when needed on Fabian Ludwigsen. So there were a few of the standouts, and you could give it to any one of them, and I don't think you get too much argument.
Well, John Dean, I'll let you save the rest of your best material for the post-game show with Bruce Stalder, because the full-time whistle has gone. And it is one of the most lopsided scores of the season. Who would have thought in a game between first and second? Mindle may have started the night top of the table. Now they are a point behind Hellenic, who have a game in hand and a significant goal difference gap to the second-placed team. 2 more games coming up in Football NT Men's Premier Division on Saturday. Don't miss them. You can watch them right here on the very channel that you've watched this game, the Football NT Facebook page or YouTube channel. On behalf of John Dean and Bruce Stalder, stick around for the post-game show. Thanks to Sportscast Australia, our broadcast partner. My name's Teo Pellizzeri, and the full-time score at Darwin Football Stadium, Hellenic 5, Mindle Aces 1.
and welcome back here to Darwin Football Stadium. Wow, what a game that was and what a result. 5-1 Hellenic over Mindle Aces, which takes them to the top of the Darwin Men's Premier League with a game in hand against Darwin Hearts. So it's been all action tonight. As you can see, Bruce Stalder's not here with us. My name's John Dean and I'm joined by Stellianos Vrontos, apologies mate, who's got his first goal in Premier League tonight. First of all, what a run, what a finish, and what a backflip. How'd that feel?
Yeah, it felt great doing that. I thought I was going to get there, but got there in the end.
No, beautiful. Hold the mic up a bit, mate. Obviously, when you come on as a substitute, we knew that you had the long throw straight into it, but it must be nice to come on with the instructions from the coach. What did he say to you? Because you come on at a nice scoreline, 4-0 when you got on the pitch. What did he tell you to do? Go out and have fun?
He told me to go out there and just attack the ball straight away. Don't let the defender rush up. Yeah, and that's it.
Beautiful. And obviously, as I said, first goal in the Premier League. You'll be pushing for a starting spot now at training this week, no doubt?
Yeah, definitely.
Beautiful. That's what we like, youth and enthusiasm. We love seeing guys come in and make a difference in the Premier League here. It was all Hellenic tonight, all one-way traffic early on. Really shocked Mindle Aces in terms of the first half of football. They came out in the second half. There was a good 10 or 15 minute period there. They did peg one back, but in the end, Hellenic far too strong, and they go to the top of this men's Premier League, and there will be a danger moving forward now into the rest of the season. So on behalf of myself, of Bruce Stalder, and the whole team behind the crews here tonight, we'll see you tomorrow when Port Darwin take on Casuarina Football Club in the early game. But other than that, bye for now from Darwin Football Stadium in the Men's Premier League.